Okay, I'm having a problem with my technology here. I'm going to have to shut down. Okay. Well, I shut down and reboot. I'm going to do the old reboot. Okay, let me take a few minutes of just, let's talk for a few minutes. Observations so far. Now, look, I'll make a statement first to put this all in context. You know the old saying about the Vermont gas station attendant. You drive up to a gas station in Vermont, you're lost. You know, it's these small country highways, and you're just hopeless that you can't. So you say, you know, I'm going to Baker's Junction. Can you tell me how to get there? And the gas station attendant thinks for a minute and says, you can't get there from here. You can't get to college and career readiness across the entire district from here. The reason that I've showed you this, and I know this may be something you already understand, maybe not with the same language, but you can't get there with people who believe this. How are you going to get all of them? 95%? Some got it, and some don't. You know, be realistic. And if they don't say it out loud, they're saying it, what the hell is she talking about? Can't get there from here, you need something else. I'm going to show you the something else, the different belief system, in a minute. And again, you probably already have some ideas about it. I'm going to give you efficacy language for it. But before I do, discussion of anything we talked about so far today. I'd like to spend a couple of minutes just kind of revisiting and solidifying, validating, invalidating what we talked about. Somebody start, we'll get a discussion going. But Jeff, now you talked about something in the men's room and the ladies' room.
I'll start. But Jeff, with the teacher shortage that's going on right now in the nation, how can we be selective about the teachers and their belief system like that we're putting in our building?
In the first place, you take who you got, and you have to trust that they have the capacity to learn. But then you have to express in your personhood a model of what that looks like in a way that's attractive to them. If you beat them up, excoriate them for having drunk the water. It's going to be a very unpleasant environment. You've got to find a way to affirmatively move them from where they are to a place that's healthier and stronger. And one way you might do that is talking to them about their own children. Because one of the things that happens is they got 3 kids, and they decide, having drunk the water and then fed it to their kids, they look at their kids and they say, this one, she is really quick, she's funny, she's really so smart. This one, he has to work at it a little harder, but he can eventually get there. I hope I'm twanging some nerves in here. And this one, we're going to try to train him to be good with his hands. And they will say that in front. Okay? And the uncles and the aunts, everybody has that attitude. If you can offer them something that gives hope to all 3 of their kids that they can learn and have productive lives, a lot of them will be open to consideration. But you got to take who you have and recruit as best you can, and you can use these ideas as a way to recruit. Okay? But don't be too strict about it, because most people that are going to pass through your door drank the water. Other thoughts? No? Okay. All right, we need something better, because you can't get there from here. I happen to have brought something better with me. A lot of you who read Carol Dweck's work will recognize it. I'll tell you about our relationship with Carol Dweck's work. We were doing this long before we met or knew anything about Carol Dweck. This is what I'm going to present now, is my doctoral dissertation model that goes back to the early 80s. Somebody gave me a seminal article that she wrote in, I believe, 86. And I read it, and I could finish all the sentences in it because she had come to the same set of conclusions completely independently. We used her work in our work because some of the things she does and says really sort of take it not a step further, but come at it from a different angle that is very supportive, additive to what we're doing. So her idea of fixed versus growth is fundamentally the same as our ideas of innate ability fixed at birth versus effective effort drive development, which I'm going to present now, which corresponds exactly to her growth mindset. Just know that it's parallel but not common. So I don't know if you noticed, but the color I did with the innate ability model was sickly green. The color here is true blue. This is not a question. This is not a hypothesis. This is a statement. There's no, in my opinion, in front of this. Okay, we can argue about it. You don't have to accept it. But just know, I take it as an understanding, not as a question. Where does development come from? Why do some people get better, stronger, and smarter as they grow older? Because the ones that get better, stronger, and smarter put effective effort into learning tasks. Effective effort, not innate ability, is what drives development. Effective effort is the secret of 206. She's mastered the ability to get kids to put effective effort into whatever she puts in front of them. And then she puts more and more challenging stuff in front of them as the year goes on, and now they're in the habit of just getting right on it and putting their effective effort into it. Effective effort has a number of characteristics. When people are effectively working at something, they show tenacious engagement at the task. Okay? They're on it. You can't push them off of it. when they have difficulty, they just get more of it. Since you can't shake them off, what happens is, whether they're having difficulty or succeeding, they take whatever's happening as feedback about their performance. What am I doing well? What am I not doing well? What do I have to work on to improve? And they're doing that in real time as they're working on the task. The feedback points them in the direction of a proper or a better strategy. So strategy formulation to accomplish the objective. So that's the definition of feedback. I'll make it more formal in a minute. Tenacious engagement, a powerful focus on feedback that the task always gives off, and then strategy formulation based on the feedback. This is a formula to get good at anything any human being can get good at. If somebody else can do particle physics, if you understand effective effort and you do the building block work to get to the basic concepts of particle physics, you can understand particle physics too, with effective effort. So, why are some people able to give you effective effort when so many others are not? Because they have the confidence that their work will pay off. If I believe I can do it, then I can put whatever work is required into doing it. And if I put effective effort in, I will learn. So look up. And what happens when I learn? Reinforces my confidence. Damn, I'm good. So that allows me to put more effective effort in, or refined effective effort into the task, which actually speeds up my development. So look up. It becomes that's how you get 16-year-olds in your high schools. Small percentage, but you got some. You got 16-year-olds who walk around with an attitude. Okay? And they're personable and they're funny, okay? But you can tell they think they're bad. Well, they are. Because they've been around that. Somehow they got onto that cycle. And now they know they can do whatever they set their minds to do. Questions about that? Reactions to it? Because we believe this is the truth of how development works for human beings when they develop. Why have you gotten quiet all of a sudden? Give me some reactions. I need something to bounce off. See, next time we're not going to give them a break. They were talking before the break. Turn to each other in pairs or groups of three, no more, and just discuss the implications of this for what you do.
so excited to read
All right, very good. Some quick questions, observations, comments? Yes?
So I was talking to my colleague, and we just wanted to clarify. You can start at any of these points, right?
What do you think?
I think you can because, just thinking of a scenario of a student who may have had this a learned sense of helpfulness around math, but they got it. Just thinking about how that's built the confidence, so now they think they can do it again.
Yes.
So now it's like this effective effort, and then, it's like this cycle. Then you have those that already work hard because they're used to working hard because that's all they know, and, they develop, and then when they're getting praise or when they see the benefit of working hard, and that also contributes to their confidence.
But either way, there's two places to start. You can start at confidence, or you can start at effective effort. 206 mixes the two. She says, boys and girls, I want you to do a silent gallery walk. And I want you to look, I call it her because I sort of, in my own mind, I see Miss Dennett, my first grade teacher. So, boys and girls, take a walk around and look at the papers. These represent what the students in my class last year were doing by the end of the year. I want you to understand that all of them were able to do it. And this year, boys and girls, all of you are going to be able to do this. Now walk around and see what's up there and see where you're going to be at the end of the year. Confidence, right? Then she says, open up your books to chapter 1. Now, the way you're going to get there is by paying attention and really looking at it and asking questions when you don't. Right? And we're going to work together, and it's going to wind up being fun. You're going to like it, but you got to start up. So she gets them into the effective effort. Okay? And then that first quiz, where they've shown some real progress, she passes it around with a smirk on her face. What did I tell you was going to happen? So they see the development, and that builds their confidence, which allows them to grow. So yes, you can start in a couple of different ways, depending on your circumstances. But you're going to get on into the upward spiral. That's what you do. By the way, that goes with teachers, administrators, as well as students. you can get administrators, you can get teachers on that spiral. Yes.
So that's where I was. That was my hesitation. I was gonna say something and then was kind of, didn't want to sound like duh. But my reflection is, no, I mean duh for me.
I know.
My reflection was me teaching the teacher how to.
Which is the proper thing for you to be thinking about.
Well, I don't know how, but okay.
So you're going to have to figure it out. But I think you'll leave here with some ideas, especially if you have some people you can regularly be communicating with and sharing ideas with. You'll quickly be able to put together your game.
It's easy when they already have some of that, just innately. Like I work with teachers on how to build relationships. I've made it safe, especially for my new teachers, to say to me, I don't know how to build a relationship. It's okay.
That's right.
We're going to figure that out.
Yeah, let's talk
Every
about it.
kid's different, but it's easier when they're at that.
And you can count on this. All of them have life experiences that have shown them that this is true. All of them. They probably have personal experiences where they have learned how to do something by working their tails off and then becoming confident. Okay? That prove to them that this is true. So this is not an alien idea. They drank the water. The dominant belief system is some got it and some don't. But they all know that there's important exceptions to that. And your job is to make it clear the exceptions are the rule. Yes.
So I'm looking at our. So I found this to be extremely intriguing. Confidence means to me that students have to see success, or see what success looks like, and then they can copy it.
Yeah.
All right. The second piece that stands out to me with this effective effort is that it has this metacognitive aspect to it. So as I'm engaged in the task, I get information, I get feedback. All right, like when I go to the golf course, if I open my club face too much, balls in the slice, that kind of thing.
Every time.
Right. And if I close it too much, then I'm gonna hook it, that kind of thing. So I know that I need to have that the club face parallel to the ball. So students still make adjustments while they are engaged in the
You
task.
hear that?
Right, they make adjustments while, and this is that self-development piece that you just talked about. All right, it allows them to move forward in terms of their skill set on the task. That builds their confidence, and that's why they're going to get more effort. All right, that's why I hope it was so great.
See themselves changing what they're doing while they're doing it, and they see that has a profound effect, and it reinforces that ongoing process.
Right. So, and the same thing is for teachers. As a school leader, we build their confidence. We help them with their pedagogical practices. We know we focus on instructional practices. They see their students succeed with greater proficiency in math and language arts, etc. All right, they build their confidence, right? All right. So the next year they come back with even more skills, and then they'll be walking down the hallway with their head up, and you'll have a school full of 206s.
And you people will walk through your building a year and a half, 2 years from now, and they'll smell it in the air, that electrical thing that's going on, and they'll say, what did he do to get the very best teachers in the system in history? Okay, it's not fair. He's got all the good teachers. That's why we got all these losers. The fact is, you have built a culture and you build a process. One more. Other ideas? Yes. This gentleman? Oh.
Yeah, so what I was talking about is how the initial step is almost always the hardest one. And what I observe a lot, so getting from like 0 to 1 is usually way harder than getting from 1 to 2. And it's because the distance between the first effort that's put in and the first positive outcome that a student or a teacher can see that gives them that buzz, that gives them that confidence, that tells them that this is working, there's usually a gap there. And you might have to try it 3 or 4 times. If it's a lesson plan that you're trying to develop so it's more engaging, it's not going to work the first couple times probably, and people give up. And what you see leaders do is they don't have the patience to keep showing them the love in that process, right?
That's right. Well, because failure or difficulty means what? In the innate ability belief system, what does failure or difficulty mean? That you're not smart enough to do it. So they give up. But in this system, no, you said you got to get that initial victory. You got to get the whole thing going. I'm going to tell you, 206 gets it going even before she gives them the first assignment. Boys and girls, I'm Mr. Howard. Okay. I'm the guy in this building who takes regular kids and gets them to very high standards. Walk around the room and see where I got all my kids last year. And then when they all sit back down. Boys and girls, I'm going to tell you something. You've had some experiences. You've been through 4 years, 5 years of school. This year's going to be different. You know why? Because I'm different. Now open up your books to chapter 1. You break, because they're looking at each other. But you've broken something, you've unfrozen something, and created a set of possibilities that you then have to deliver on. But you already know how to deliver on those first successes and then take advantage of those. But you can actually break them out of it very quickly if you're confident enough. Okay, this is good. I told you this came from my dissertation. Somebody said, okay, but how do we teach this to first graders? And so we had another little meeting, and we're sitting there with a whiteboard, and we had dark clouds over our heads because we couldn't figure out how to communicate this in a way that first graders could understand until one of our colleagues, she jumped up, she went to the whiteboard, and she wrote this out. Instead of confidence, she said, boys and girls, learn to think you can. And if you think you can, you will be able to work hard. Boys and girls, if you work hard, you will. And then somebody in the room, I think it might be me, being inspired, said, because boys and girls, smart is not something you just are. Smart is something you can get smart, boys and girls. And Mr. Howard is going to show you how. Open up your books to chapter 1. What are they going to do? Because every last one of them wants to get smart. And they're going to believe that it's possible because it's clear that you believe it. So the whole thing is, effective effort is the nexus of all of this. It's the heart of it. It's how we make it happen. Confidence is how we drive the effective effort. But it's the effective effort that drives the learning, right? So here's a definition of effective effort. This is our definition. Effective effort is effort directed toward targeted learning outcomes and or improvement toward those outcomes. You don't get to college and career readiness when you're in the 5th grade. You make improvements toward that. Both count. It always involves 3 things. Tenacious engagement at the task, working hard, being really into it, really sticking with it after difficulty, not giving up after failure or difficulty. I'm going to get this becomes the attitude. An intense focus on feedback. Paying close attention to the data that the task will always give off about how you're doing. And using that data to make feedback about how well you're doing and what it's going to take to get better. I'm going to talk more about that in a few minutes. But feedback is essential, and it's something that people who are effective at anything know how to do, know how to use. They take feedback. They're not frightened by initial difficulty. They take it as feedback to tell them what new strategies to employ. Ongoing strategy formulation based on the feedback. listening to what the feedback is telling you about how to get better. Feedback talks to you. And then changing your approach accordingly, always trying new ways to improve. This gentleman nailed it earlier. This is an ongoing process while you're doing the task. It's almost inseparable from the work of doing the task. You're doing this too. Is that what you meant by metacognition? And then you're watching yourself do that. And you're saying, damn, you tough. Okay? You're evaluating yourself because you're, in a positive way, because you're doing this process. Engagement, focus on feedback, ongoing strategy formulation. I'm going to tell you, when you get this right, when the kids get this right, when the teachers get this right, you can't lose. If the task is doable, and we know it is, and you get effective effort going, you cannot lose. You can have difficulty, but you will not fail. Is it clear what I mean by that? What's it?
I didn't hear an answer.
Talk to each other for a minute about that, the notion that you can't, in pairs. With this, you can't fail at the big responsibilities you have. Talk about that for just a minute, 2 minutes. All right. So you understand what I mean
Yes.
when I say in an important way, an important level, you can't fail. Now comment on that just briefly,
So,
please.
I was gonna say I appreciate the way that it's you describe it as an effective effort. We were thinking about a couple of our teachers who like the confidence is there and the effort is there, but it's not effective effort. So therefore, it's not leading to that result.
See, that's a wonderful insight. Okay, that's why the word is up there. Because my original thesis model was confidence effort development, and I had a colleague who said, but sometimes effort isn't, it's not effective. I said, okay, Mark, effective effort, okay? And he said, okay, and I looked and I said, damn. So from that moment on, it became effective effort. And effective effort is different. Those are the characteristics of effective effort. One or two more. Yes.
So before I know we moving forward, but I want to kind of take a step back.
Okay.
You talk about the teacher in 206. Did the teacher in 206 come in the doorway with those skill sets, or was she developed into that teacher who became the teacher in 206?
She came in bright-eyed and bushy-tailed with a commitment to children. She loved children, and she went into education, not because she didn't think she could make it in law school. She came into education because she wanted to work with children and wanted to have that feeling of developing children. So that's what she came in with. She quickly figured out that, you know what? These kids have, can you hear me? Am I live? I need a battery. She quickly figured out that, darn it, they can't all get it. That if I'm sharp with what I'm presenting, they all get it. That gave her the sense that there's nothing wrong with these kids. And then she started putting together her game. Okay? Trial and error, going into other teachers' classrooms who she thought were effective and watching what they're doing. Right? But she put together, it took a couple of years. Now, her kids were better off in the first year than they would have been if they hadn't had her. By the third year, she was taking names. Yes?
What really struck me with this definition is that the three different parts are all crucial for the effective effort. So you have some of those newer teachers who might come in and have that engagement and be really excited, but they might be very green in their strategies, or they might be doing the heavy lifting for the kids, or as we talked about yesterday, the tasks might not be there. But with that intense focus on feedback, if they take it and create more new strategy and fix, change, adapt, and develop themselves, then that's what continues the cycle. So it's not just about the engagement, but there's other two pieces, how this is broken down, and it's so clear to me of those steps that are necessary for that effort to really happen and to make the difference.
It all has to work together. But learning to use feedback to develop strategy is where the rubber really meets the road. That's how you get good. And everybody who's good has done that. One more. I'm trying to bring this phone call. Okay, good. So, in the efficacy paradigm, it's understood that virtually everyone is capable of brilliance. I'm talking 95% people. Okay? With proper instruction in a classroom that sets their little neurons on fire, they all look brilliant by the end of the year. Important characteristics are neither fixed nor given. Capabilities are built over a lifetime through the action of effective effort, which actually changes the structure, the physical structure of the brain. Neural networks form because of sustained effort at challenging tasks. New structures happen that weren't there before. If I get you out and have you trying to learn to drive a standard transmission, if you find one, because nobody makes them anymore, but I can get you into a standard transmission car, and you can start from scratch, and you try to make the car go, and it's jerking and carrying on. Okay, I can have you, if you stay with it and use effective effort, and I'm decent at instruction, you will be driving that car within days, and you will have a whole new complex neural structure that forms in your brain associated with driving that car. And after a couple of months, you'll be able to drive that car, be talking on the telephone, and drinking a cup of coffee at the same time.
Not that you should do it.
Not that you should do it. But you'll be able to in a crunch. Okay, this is going back to looking like it's working. I'm going to leave it here. This is a constructive framework for thinking about people and their possibilities. It applies to both intellectual development and character development. Virtually everyone is born with enough mental capacity to meet 21st century college and career standards. 206 knows that that's true because she has found out with her experience working with real kids coming into the building from the housing project. These assumptions are the basis of effective educational institutions and healthy communities. This goes beyond the school building. When you start to get all the kids at this high school coming out college and career ready, the tone of the entire neighborhood will change. Thuggishness will start to dramatically diminish. People who feel like they're accomplishing something in school actually can start being decent to each other. Right? People will be trying to, what happened here? Well, you are what happened here. Implications. Capabilities can be developed throughout life. By the way, I call it the efficacy paradigm. That's a misnomer. It could be called Miss Dennett's paradigm or 206's paradigm. Some of you had parents who understood all of this. They might not have had the language, but they understood it, and they raised you and your siblings this way. There's always been a population of people who've gotten this. It might not be huge in the United States, but in China and Japan, it's the majority of the population, a large majority, who understand this. But since nobody had named it in the U.S., we named it after ourselves. Implications of the efficacy paradigm. Capabilities can be developed throughout life. Adults and children can get smart, actually become more intelligent through the application of effort. That should have been italicized. That's the central idea. When effort is mobilized instead of debilitated administrators, people can control the pace and direction of their own development. Your job is to mobilize the effort of the people in the buildings of your district. Failure and difficulty can stimulate mobilized effort when they're understood. Let me say it correctly. Failure and difficulty can stimulate mobilized effort when they're understood as feedback about what people must do to improve. Read that sentence and make meaning of it for yourself right now. You get it? Questions about that sentence? Failure debilitates only when it's used as a basis for judgments about innate limitations of the individual. Most of our kids are debilitated by failure because they look at us and they know we're making judgments about it. And then they make their own judgments about it. It's so stupid. That's what they say to themselves. Walking home from school, stupid. And they mean it. It's a misunderstanding of what the failure represents. It's not a judgment, it's
Feedback.
no, what is saying it?
Feedback.
It's feedback. Failure and difficulty are only feedback. This is something I'm going to want you to do after this presentation is over. But I really would like for you to do this. Do it at lunch. Identify an area. Sit together. When you sit, whoever you're having lunch with, make sure it's somebody in the group. Identify an area of your life in which this efficacy model has worked for you, where it accurately describes how you got really good at something. For almost all of us, there is something that we know we're good at, and you go back, you will realize that you just kept working at it. And if it was hard, you just kept working. And you started making feedback to develop strategy to keep getting better at it. But I want you to do that and give each other examples. This is an offshoot of the efficacy model. Almost all of our young people and our adults have enough intellectual capacity to master complex, challenging material. Now, again, there's no, in my opinion, in front of that. I'm making that statement to you as an understanding that I invite you to join into. I believe it's the truth. But to deliver on their ability to master that material, they have to believe that they can do it. They have to have the confidence. And they must respond adaptively to failure and difficulty. If the task is challenging, they're going to have some difficulties and maybe some interim failures on the way to mastering it. If they can't respond adaptively to that, they're going to roll over and give up.
What about interest?
What about interest? I'm going to be a sculptor. I don't need to learn mathematics. I'm not interested in that. What's the proper answer?
No.
In this classroom, I'm not going to let you leave and go to recess if you don't sit down and do this mathematics. Because mathematics is a way of thinking and understanding the world that you can master, and I expect you to master. And when you grow up to be a sculptor, you're going to wind up applying mathematical concepts, geometric concepts, to the work that you're doing. Sit down and open the book. There are a set of subjects that we're teaching kids. They don't have an option, and if we conduct ourselves properly, they won't even ask for the option. They'll just know this crazy man, he's gonna make me do this no matter what I do. I might as well just do it. Does that answer the question? I hope it answers the question, because you need to teach them mathematics whether they like it or not. Children and the adults, by the way, because if you don't have an attitude, oh no, in my class you're going to learn some mathematics. If you don't have that attitude, what are they going to do the first time they encounter difficulty? What are they going to say? I don't like it. And what are they going to feel in their heart? I can't do it. So if you have kids saying that, you need to look in the mirror and recognize what prompted that. Because in 206's classroom, she says, open up your math books, boys and girls, and go to chapter 5, and they open up their math books, and they go to chapter 5, and they don't talk about whether they're interested or motivated or not. They just do the work. Is that too harsh?
No, that's great.
206's kids don't have motivation problems. Children and the adults who work with them need to be immunized against the negative psychological consequences of failure and difficulty. So remember what we said on the previous page. Everybody has the capacity to work at a high level. To deliver, they have to believe they can do it, and they have to respond adaptively to failure and difficulty. They got to have immunization against negative psychological consequences of failure and difficulty. You have to teach them fat ass. Yeah, see, kids are having the same reaction. Excuse me, what? Okay? They're gonna like it immediately because of what it sounds like. Now you got their attention. So I want people who haven't seen this before to help me figure out what it means. It's an acronym, 5 beginnings of 5 very important words. What's the first F? Failure. Fat ass. All right, boys and girls, here's the quizzes. A lot of you all missed a lot of the points here that I tried to make, and I'm taking that as information about what I didn't teach well. I want you to take these papers as information about what you didn't learn well. We're going to fat ass this something, okay? They will get it. And once you've taught them effective effort, they will drop immediately into effective effort mode to try to understand what the strategy needs to be to learn this material. Failure and difficulty are just feedback about what you have to work on to improve, boys and girls, and men and women. Okay? Look, our results are not what we would hope for this quarter. Okay? And I know we've been working really hard at it. So here's the results. And I want you to take this as information about what we have to work on to improve, ladies and gentlemen. And I want you to fat ass this. In groups, look at the data and see what you can draw out of it. Yes?
So this, I have to say this, and I'll talk about it.
That's all right.
So I do have to say this, and I feel like I'm speaking too much, but what you're bringing out is that teachers must be warm demanders. There's a warm demander pedagogy. That's something that has always been taught in every school that I've worked at. But you're talking about warm demanders not just being people that show that they care about kids and demand excellence, but they do not tolerate a lack of effort. That's the key. They don't tolerate a lack of effort. Get your butt up. You must do. You have to get it done.
They're ruthless.
You have to get it done.
You know,
They don't accept no for an answer.
this lady crazy. Okay? Open up your books and chapter. They open up the book. Because they know they have no escape, and they know this is the warm business. They know he or she loves them. They're not going to cross this teacher. And the same thing goes for you said a warm commander? For a warm demander principal. And the same thing goes for a courageous superintendent. At every level, that'll work. Here's an advocacy insight. To a significant degree, differences in learning and skills reflect differences in response to difficulty. This is what explains the difference between you and some of your cousins. You kept going when they quit because they thought they couldn't do it. When children and adults are taught to fat-ass difficulty, use it as a verb. You want to see kids out on the playground trying to learn how to, okay, the little boys, little girls trying to play basketball, trying to learn how to get the left hand going, and they can't get it going. You want to see them saying, "I got a fat ass." Okay? And watching Steph Curry tapes. I'm giving myself a break. Videos. They got tapes in them. When children and adults are taught to fat ass difficulty, to view it as a source of feedback and a prompt to strategy, they sustain and refocus their effort, and they can't be stopped. If people can learn it, gosh darn it, they can learn it. That's her attitude, that's their attitude. Again, that's your second discussion at lunch. I want you to consider the implications of this for teaching and learning. Think about it now for a minute. Think about the implications of those two paragraphs for teaching and learning. Okay, this next section is the research that really reinforces the truth of this perspective, of this paradigm, of this belief system. It's really good stuff, but I don't have time to go through it, so you're going to have to look at it yourself. But it gets down to neuroscience, right? This is true. I'll do the closing insight from this section. When we work at something, we strengthen our capacity to do it. The neural networks, look up. Look up. Okay? We don't quit. We have difficulty, but we stay with it. And we're strategizing. And we're trying, how do we? I got it. Now there's a permanent new structure, biochemical, electrochemical structure in the brain associated with that, and it's there because you didn't give up. When we work at something, we strengthen our capacity to do it. The neural networks that underlie our skills and capacities are extremely responsive to the powerful combination of challenge and sustained effective effort. Your educators are going to wind up being much smarter people after they work with you on this CCR project. Because they're not going to quit. And they're going to learn how to talk to the parents. They're going to learn how to talk to the kids, how to deal with kids who are having a crisis of disbelief in their own capacities. And they're going to learn how to deal with that. And as they're learning, look up. I'm serious. When we are not challenged, when we are discouraged, stagnant, or simply decide not to work hard at something, learning ceases. So again, you really need to look up. First paragraph, second paragraph, look up. Ain't nothing happening. That's where you get, oh no. They don't know. They seem stupid in a technical sense. They are. Because, and the question for you is that happening in your classrooms and your buildings? Okay, back to mobilization. The mobilization method is a self-directed improvement system. I've got to rush through this, but it's in your materials for you to look at and think it through. Here is the SDIS, self-directed improvement system, which is part of the operational mechanism you're going to use to get your people mobilized. You start out with clearly defined proficiency standards, college and career readiness, and the progressive standards, progressive proficiencies that get you there. You do a baseline assessment of where people are when they start. You can do that for the entire district. Look and see how close your seniors are to college and career readiness. Where are you starting from? That baseline assessment yields data. What percentage of kids are at what level? You take the data and you make feedback. You hear the verbs here? You get the data from the assessments. Okay, it's a fairly passive process. You have the kid take the assessment, you get data, you derive data. But then you make feedback. You look at the data and you ask a couple of questions, 3 questions. What are they good at already? What are they not good at yet? What must I work on to improve? Yes. What must who work on to improve? Who's I? The teacher, the administrator. Okay? You take that feedback and you formulate strategy based on the feedback. I need to work on this, this, and this. What are the curriculum resources you might use? What are instructional strategies? What are support mechanisms that you're going to have to use to make a difference? And then you execute that strategy. Okay? And then look up. You do another assessment. It's no longer baseline. Now you're assessing how you did on your first round strategy, which gives you data. You improved, you stayed the same, you didn't improve. Doesn't matter. You take that data and you make feedback. What do I need to work on to improve? You formulate a strategy. You execute the strategy. So look up. This is another. This is a 206 spiral. We were asking, how did she get good? Did she walk in the door good? No. She went through a process, okay, of becoming an outstanding teacher. And that, we think, is what the process looks like. This is a process that you can use in PLCs. You start with the standards. You put together common assessments. You work together to look at the data you got from all your 5th grade. It's the 5th grade team. Okay? What's the data we got, okay, from the 4 5th grade classrooms? We make feedback together as colleagues, okay? And the data looks different. Some of us did better than others. Doesn't matter, okay? What do you got? What do you not got? What do you got to work on to improve? We do that together in a kind of, what is it, a caring, a warm demand culture. And then together, we formulate strategy. Okay, how do we deal with this? Okay, we understand what the problem is. We got to work on number theory. Okay, so how do we? There's some curricula out there, instructional strategies that we know work. We reach out if we need to, but we put together a strategy, and then we go out and try it again. We do another assessment, and we understand what worked and what didn't work, and that's how we collectively can get into this process. We believe that's what PLCs are for. Okay? They are to systematically and intelligently analyze data to build more effective strategy. So PLCs that use the SDIS. You don't have to use this, but something that does the same thing. Here it is in words. So again, you can read this yourselves. It's good, so you should. The SDIS, using data to drive change. The SDIS is a system for using feedback derived from clear objectives and sharp assessments to mobilize educators' intelligence and shape adult proficiency. Now get this. The SDIS, you look at it first, and this, when we first sort of put it together, we looked at it and we said, damn, that's what 206 does. That's how she develops her kids' proficiency. Okay, we got it. But then we realized what this really is a means of shaping adult proficiency. This is how 206 becomes 206. Proficient administrators teach the method to their teachers, who then teach it to their children, so that at every level of the organization, people can take control of their own drives to achieve proficiency and ultimately college and career readiness. So this was a walk through the 3 M's. The mission is proficiency. The mindset is get smart, the efficacy paradigm. And the mobilization method is a data-based system of self-directed improvements executed in PLCs at all levels of the learning community. You've seen this before. So, questions, comments, observations. Let me take a minute. Do you see how all this fits together? Are there questions about how the pieces fit? Could you draw a map of how all of this that we've done today fits together? Why are you so quiet? What do you think? What are you feeling? What are you feeling now? Look, you would hire some people to see. Okay? And you need time for that process to cure, to mature. I'm gonna use the time I have left to have you talking about this in groups, so let me just finish. So where are we? We've established a moral imperative to build organizations that move young people to college and career readiness. It's not a question, it's a demand. It's a command. We believe that without question, the adults and the children in your care can achieve this objective once they are mobilized. And we provided a simple framework, mission, mindset, and method that will give you a grip on the most important professional challenge of your life. You will never be asked to do anything more important professionally than this. Failure to do this will be a very consequential failure. A moral failure, Any questions about that? I know I'm laying it on pretty hard. When I was younger, I would have been nicer. But I'm running out of time. So damn it. Okay, I'm going to have you discuss this in your teams. So first question, can we do it? I want an answer.
Yes.
So then the question becomes, how do we do it? And here's, I think, my last sort of alternate. This is a kind of a summary, covers what we talked about. The mobilization of expertise, as we've said, offers a clear target, premised on the bedrock of confidence, is respectful of you and your capabilities. You can figure this out, and empowers you on the ground to reinvent the process based on feedback about what works and what doesn't. You're going to work in small groups. This question. And I'm going to give you 20 minutes to do this. Identify, and I'd like you to work in your district groups if you're here with a district. And those of you who are singletons, who are here by yourself, find each other and get together in groups of no more than 4 or 5 to discuss this as if you were a district. Okay? So I want you to quickly self-organize and ask yourself a simple question. Take a simple assignment. Identify the essential elements of a strategy to achieve the mission in the form of bullet points that can be shared. You've got 20 minutes. Find your group and then get to work on it. And you might, singletons might join a district group if there's one close to you, that's okay too. What are you going to do to achieve the mission? What's your strategy?
So much we still don't know. They're
All right. Very good. Come back. Come back, please. All right, what I want to do now is I want a popcorn spokesperson from each of the groups, look at your list, and identify something you think is important, and throw one thing out. And then somebody from the next group. And the next, I don't want paragraphs, we don't have time. I want bullet points. And let's get popcorn around the room. And those of you who haven't spoken yet, you're looking to see what you've got that nobody's talked about, so that we do a pretty good job of covering the waterfront of the things you all collectively think are important. You got it? So let's pop, no microphones, we don't have time. You know, we got one, you can use it. Okay, so yeah, let's start.
5 to 7 year commitment.
5 to 7 year commitment from whom?
From us, from the leaders, from the.
Yes, keep going, what else? Popcorn, come
Build
on.
relationships.
Say again.
Build relationships.
Build relationships with whom?
The adults and the children.
Between the adults and the children. And between the adults and the adults.
Yeah.
Keep going, what else?
Enrolling multiple stakeholders.
Enroll multiple stakeholders in the entire community in this process.
Adjusting our observation feedback cycle to the teachers to not just give feedback on quote unquote the data, but on your effective effort.
Say that loud, say it.
Adjusting our observation and feedback cycles to not just give them feedback on quote unquote the data, but on their level of effective
So
effort.
not just outcomes,
Right.
but also start evaluating on a scale of 1 to 4 the quality of the effort you put in for
For
students
students and teachers.
and teachers.
And our coaches.
Keep going. And our coaches, keep going.
Developing a culture of coaching each other.
Develop a culture within the organization of
Coaching.
coaching. And senior administrators can facilitate that by putting structures in place for people to have meetings, structured meetings to coach each other. That's what I mean by PLCs that use the SDIS. What else?
Sharing our own failures so they won't be afraid to fail.
Modeling, okay, my own failures and difficulties and the fact that I'm not afraid of them, and how I used it to make feedback to make myself the man I am today. Yes, keep going. Any others? What hasn't been covered?
Identify support systems in place where needed to support quality tier 1 instruction.
Okay, what are the support systems the district puts in place to support among teachers quality tier 1 instruction? Others?
Define clear objectives for every grade level.
Starting with CCR, backward method, okay, what has to happen at every level for us to achieve CCR? And you gotta be somewhat flexible. It could be that it might not happen in the 3rd grade, okay? It'll happen in the 4th and 5th grade, but ultimately when the kid finishes middle school, a huge percentage are hitting the middle school exit targets on the way to college and career readiness.
Make it time bound to emphasize the urgency.
We got 5 years, people. We got 7 years, people. Damn it, we can do this in this district in 3 years. Yes. Okay, we're going to achieve this objective, college and career readiness. You've got to start with that. Okay? Don't let them think it's just about their classroom. They are part of something bigger, and we've got 5 years to do it. And announce that to the city so that the wall moves up behind you. You got no place to go except forward. And you fat ass.
Ensure a growth mindset in every classroom community so that kids feel safe making mistakes, so ensuring FATF is happening.
You can install the growth mindset. She's done a lot of work to work that out, okay? And you can have kids thinking about fixed versus growth mindsets using FATF. And by the way, I'm sorry, you made a brilliant comment, but you used the term FATF. That's the French pronunciation. Our kids are not going to relate to that. FATF. Say it correctly. People, what else? Any else? Yes.
Identify clear goals at each grade level and work toward those goals throughout the year.
So every teacher, every student, and every parent understands the goals for the 3rd grade.
Yes.
And they understand how those goals fit into the progression to college and career readiness. Yes.
Allow them the opportunity to figure it out.
Everybody is made to understand that we're all figuring out how to do this. Now, we didn't talk about this, but as people figure it out, you've got to create structural mechanisms to have them communicate with each other what they have figured out. Because what that group has figured out could directly relate to what it is we're trying to figure out. So a communication process across the district of lessons we have learned, things we have figured out, is going to be essential, and it has to start with the leadership team of the district setting the terms for that to happen. Okay? Let me tell you, there are brilliant people in this district. And as they start to figure stuff out, they got to share the brilliance. Oh, one more thing. If you got a district in New Jersey that's doing this, and there's another one 50 miles away, those districts become a PLC. Okay? Sharing insights and friendly competition for getting there, okay, to college and career readiness. Okay. That's right. Let me close. So here's my idea about what's required. A 7 to 10 year commitment from the superintendent. I don't care if somebody from a warmer climate is recruiting you. You can't do this, start it, and then leave after 2 years because you got a better opportunity someplace else. This is your opportunity to get to heaven. So a superintendent who's got the nerve, who has the courage to be in the lead to do this, has to make a 7 to 10 year commitment to get us to the finish line. A public, unambiguous, galvanizing statement of the college and career readiness objective from the superintendent, made to the community, made to every community. Call all the principals together. Make the public commitment to the goal. Have a September meeting an August meeting where everybody, all the teachers are invited. Make the primary focus of that meeting the goal. Here's what it is, here's what it looks like, here's how we're going to measure it. Everybody, you know the speech. You're going to make the speech and you're going to make it compelling. City council and the school board have to be on board with this. So that's the superintendent's job, sir or madam. You got to go before those people and you got to convince them that they're going to get behind you and they're going to help you remove any obstacles. How can I put this better? There can't be, for example, any labor agreements that get in the way of getting this done. So you're going to have support to make sure that nothing stands in the way of getting our kids to college and career readiness. And when the nation is truly at risk, okay, when we were attacked, okay, Pearl Harbor, the whole country mobilized, okay, around building the war machine to defeat the enemy. Okay? All obstacles were pushed aside. We are capable of doing that. Don't let any obstacles stand in the way. And don't come back and tell me next year when I want to talk to you, well, we tried to do it, but it was just so hard. There were so many obstacles. Clear them out. That the mayor, the city council, and the school board can help you do that. You have to build widespread confidence throughout the organization in the capabilities of adults and young people to do it. We talked about this, but you've got to actualize it. The Get Smart belief system has to be established as a cultural norm in your organization. Install a process and organization and organized structure of PLC, SDIS meetings at all levels. Teacher team meetings, leadership team meetings in the building, leadership team meetings across instructional areas, so the mathematics people get together and they have a PLC, SDIS process going. The district leadership team with the superintendent is meeting all the time to do this. These are not voluntary meetings. These are absolutely mandatory meetings. They are beautifully structured. There's no BS. Okay? People come in, sit down, the meeting starts at noon. You start taking care of business, discussing data, feedback, strategy in those meetings. But those meetings are mandatory, necessary, and they're very regular. These are the working groups. You gotta have a killer data stream. Kim Marshall is going to help us by collecting all the information about how people have put together good data streams so that we can share that among ourselves. It is a technical issue. If you can't find one that somebody's put together that suits your needs, you're going to have to create your own. You're probably going to need a data czar, a data stream czar in the district so that people are constantly being fed data about how they're improving. This is big and important. As superintendents, district people, you need to listen to this. You've got to give these PLC, SDIS groups operational latitude. They got to look at all the policies and practices in the district, some of which have been around for decades. They probably weren't working when they were installed 30 years ago. And they have to be swept off the table. Nothing is sacrosanct. Only what works stays. So there's going to be a real transformation in policies and practices, including instructional practices across the district. And the superintendent leadership team don't obstruct it, they support it. People are figuring out how to do it, and you're giving them the latitude to figure out an approach that's going to work in their building. Oh, there has to be district leadership team oversight so people don't get too far off the reservation, right? And finally, you got to manage resistance. Resistance will arise as people see you organizing to do this. There will be people who will deliberately get in the way. There will be people who try to sabotage the whole process. You can learn to understand resistance, understand its sources, understand how it's organized. There are groups of people within every school, usually with an alpha, and he or she sort of controls the culture right now. They don't want that to change with your high-flown ideas. Well, you got to know who they are, and you got to counter that and begin to pull that apart, bring those people into your group with you as the alpha. Okay, bottom line, I see you hovering over there. I'm almost done. There are people in currently stagnant school organizations who are smart enough and care about young people enough to figure out how to transform your schools. But their intelligence is immobilized currently by the present culture and organization, including negative beliefs and resistance. Neither top-down experts nor best practices alone will get them moving. Mobilization based on a cultural and organizational transformation is required. We believe that leaders have to use mission, CCR, mindset, get smart, and a method, PLCs, SDISs, as a framework to set the terms for that mobilization. FATF all difficulties, adults and children, teaching and learning. These steps will liberate the learning capacities and operational capabilities of professional educators to figure it out. So that's the presentation. I came to offer a general idea of where we ought to be heading, and I believe, I hope that I've offered some concrete strategies, frameworks for how you can move to get it done. That's how this should be evaluated. But I thank you for your attention.
So Jeff, it's always an honor to be in your presence and to listen to your brilliance. So many things that you said resonate, and this could make a huge difference, not just in the district. You could revolutionize the country here. You know, we could do a district, we could do a state, if we get the people who are willing to be bold enough. A couple of things to add into it, you know, I would say accountability at all levels. Not for your mindset, because we can't read minds, for what you do. I don't care if you don't think the kids can do it, as long as you're offering them a high enough curriculum.
As long as you're doing it with the kids.
As long as you're doing it with the kids.
You don't have
right?
to believe it as long as you're doing it.
Exactly. So we're both passionate about that. Fat Ave, just a quick little story. I was coming out of Gutman over to Longfellow, and there were all these elementary school kids. And so I went over to say hello. They're from Boston Public Schools, and I worked there for a long time, so I was chatting with them, and I said, "What are you doing here?" And they said, "We're teaching." So, wow, okay, you know, tell me, what are you teaching? We're teaching Fat Ave. Oh my goodness, you know, so I was lucky enough. They had a few minutes. We came over to the cafe. We got them some lunch, and it was awesome. So your lessons are resonating throughout, which is great. Your killer data stream, it's only good if you use it. Right? Let's face it. The numbers mean nothing unless someone's improving, right? And this isn't easy. So as long as I require you to be strong, to put up with the resistance. You know, we talked a little bit about change earlier this week. Nobody wants to change. Remember, folding your hands. Switch thumb is on top. That's uncomfortable. So you're going to make people uncomfortable. It's going to be so worth it. This is going to make a huge difference. Career and college ready. Another round of applause for and you'll be back here at
1:15 for Mary's session.
Oh, so don't be late.
Okay.
Can I just say one more thing? We have the magnificent Kim Marshall and Rhoda Schneider. It's such a powerful couple. Kim and I have talked together, and we were principals together, and he does the Marshall memo, and if you don't know what that is, wow, you need to know. It's going to save you so much time to keep you up with all the research that's out there, all the practice stuff that you can use. It's awesome. I wanted to say a few words. He said he wouldn't, but know that he is here, so if you want to talk with him. And his wife, Rhoda Schneider, is the chief legal counsel for the Department of Education here in Massachusetts. So she is a very big person. She has taught in our classes for many, many years, and I'm so thrilled that they have you. So give them a round of applause.
Is that right? Yes, we'll see you at 1:15 for Mary's session. If you want to look at the boards quickly, part of the schedule for the afternoon is there. So for today, it's a little different. You'll come back directly at 1:15, so no breakout groups until this afternoon. And just a couple notes, the Harvard shop, who sells Harvard swag, I know that we originally were planning on them for today, but they're actually come tomorrow. Something came up on their end. And then for today, we do have the Harvard Education Press Group right outside the hall if you're interested in seeing some of the books that they offer. We'll see you at 1:15 back here. Thank you.
I'll be right back.
Good. Downstairs outside, we're going. Downstairs outside.
I've never I did try to
Hollywood?
Yeah, Hollywood. Hollywood's called. Absolutely. Good. I want tickets to your first.
Can I get my free?
Right. Jacob's.
Hey, Sandy, ask Kim and Rhoda if they want to talk. You coming?
It's just pretty safe. Like, that's it. I appreciate your time. I think Hi.
Hello.
So please, no. My name is
I love your comments.